this, you know. Said his neighbors gave him a hard time. Yeah. Right.
Now I'll interview you as my first.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Now, what are your names again?
John and Marlene McLaurin.
And you were here in what year?
1959, the first time I was a graduate assistant in '62.
Oh, okay.
So, working with Ralph Berry, Professor Berry.
Uh-huh. Was Gene Glisson here in '62?
Yeah, he was here both years. He was the camp director. And, let's see, another fellow was here in '59 was Red Berenson. You remember him?
Yep.
Hockey player.
The hockey coach now.
Yeah, he was coach with the Blues. He's
coach of Michigan. Has been.
Well, he was a student in civil.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
He was here for the standard normal surveying camp and engineering geology course. I wonder what happened to Professor Heinrich. He was the engineering geology guy.
Well, we'll have to find out.
Yeah, he was a good man.
Right.
I enjoyed that course.
Yeah. There's the moose.
Yes, yes. And your first name again? Ann.
And Bill.
Okay. Bill and Ann. All right. Got my camera. Yeah.
There's Beaver Mountain up there.
I got him.
Good.
What's his name?
The moose?
The man.
I forgot about it.
Ours is.
What was that? It sounded like a wheel falling off. Yeah, this is a bad road. David's truck took this road much better than this one. This is the way in. I wonder who that is. Ranchers, probably. There's the whole back. Here's some of the people are probably hiking from camp. I never went fishing. A lot of guys came down and fished. Camp Davis, private road.
Bourbon Whiskey Ranch.
Yeah.
Is that the same?
I think the Bourbon Whiskey Ranch is something that Glisson has going on the side.
What's that mean?
Camp Davis visitors, please observe 15 miles an hour. All right.
Oh, there's a bourbon. Yeah, that's actually a ranch.
It might rain. Look at the dark clouds.
It's supposed to be. There's a chance of rain.
You can see the houses from here. Let's observe 15 miles an hour. It looks like 40 from back there.
Yeah.
Just to climb that hill behind the thing and over there. I think this is okay, we have a couple here from Berkeley, Michigan. Is that? Oh no, from Battle Creek. You used to live in Berkeley, right? And your names are?
Richard and Elna Dykeman
Okay, and Richard, you were out in Camp Davis when?
in 1951.
Okay.
Where are you from?
And do you have any memories of that?
Right.
Oh, a lot of
Good or bad?
all good memories.
All good memories.
Good memories.
You pass, all right?
Oh yes.
That's good.
219.
Oh, there's the.
That's if it
So what do you want? What do you think,
That's
Jerry?
if it doesn't rain.
If it rains, it'll probably be in the evening. So do you want to go to school here now?
You're right.
Still swarming around. See him on the door yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it got me right on the back, right up here, I guess.
Is there? Oh, this must be the sign-up area. Now, I understand that you're a product of Camp Davis, a Camp Davis marriage that occurred how many years ago today?
36.
36 years ago.
6 years ago, right? Well,
Okay.
8 o'clock or 8:30 or
Today is their anniversary.
I know. So, what I want to know is what have they told you about this camp? Anything exciting?
30 or whatever.
What they told me about?
Yeah. What have they told you about Camp Davis? What haven't they told you about?
Well, I came here then
Oh, that's right. You came here as a student. What year was that?
in '88.
88.
And while I was here, my mother's father had saved all her letters while she was here at the
Oh,
camp.
okay.
And they had all the letters in a binder, and my mother gave me this binder while I was here so I could read the stories that she had written.
Does she still have this?
Yeah. What happened to
You never told me about that. This is history.
History, yes.
Just don't say anything that you don't.
When I went to Michigan, my parents told me that they would pay my tuition, and in return I would write them every day. And so I
Every
did.
day?
Every day. Well, plus or minus, I mean, but so I've got, and then the letters would come, my father's secretary would type them, so I've got these books.
You have typed letters? Oh, you didn't tell me about this.
No, I wouldn't, don't want it for general.
I'm glad that you brought this up, Heather, but thank you very much.
Well, the first letters were talking about Professor O'Neill, and then it became Professor Joe O'Neill, and then it became Mr. O'Neill. Pretty soon it was just Joe.
It wasn't Honey O'Neill?
I sent it to Bill, not to her parents. I said, did they tell anything was going on between Joe and Karen? He said no.
Well, there really wasn't.
Not at that point, huh?
Is this place burning down?
We're eating at this ship. We better go.
What does that mean?
This is our 5:30 dinner.
What time is it? 5:30. Somewhere. Here at the end, we can park out
You ride your bike to how far is that?
6 miles. It's not far.
That's good. Riding, I like that.
Hey, Gene, leave some for us, will you?
Yes, I will.
He's not the boss anymore, so he doesn't have to deal with all the administrative stuff.
You can't
Okay. Chuck Wooden, right?
Right,
And you run the camp? How long have you run it?
28 years.
Just took some
Okay, and tell me what you know about the history of the camp, would you please?
Well, from what I know, the money that came from the camp, Dr. Davis set up in a fund after they were out here. Johnson and Davis came out here in the early 20s and rode around out here. They rented horses in Pinedale and rode the whole area. There's a picture in the mess hall of them on the horses when they did
Oh,
that
that's
here.
who that was.
where that picture
Okay,
comes
I'll
from.
have to take.
Then they
No, were they professors at the
were
university?
professors, engineering professors,
Okay.
and I'm in geology too. I believe they did a little of
Okay,
both.
yeah.
They were so impressed with the area here, their camp at Douglas Lake, which is Douglas Lake, the biological camp now. They had fog every morning, they had a lot of insects, a lot of trees. It was difficult to survey. They used to use, in the surveying instruments then, they used to set them by the stars at night.
Right.
And at Douglas Lake, most of the time they couldn't see it. It'd either be fog or rain and stuff like that. So they were pretty impressed with the country. So Davis, Jonathan Davis, set some money aside. I don't really know how much it's back there.
His own money or university?
His own money. And said if this camp was ever, if this area here was ever feasible to get in with a road, this road wasn't a full-time road.
Oh, okay.
So if the road got to be year-round road and a drivable road, I believe when they rented the horses, I think in Pinedale's where they rented them, and were coming up here in the end of May and had us live with a sheep herder down here at the rim station for about a week until this road thawed out where they could even come in. So I understand that he left the money, left some with the money with the department, and talked the department into buying some property out here. And then sometime after that, I don't know exactly when, they come around here and they checked, and almost all these ranches had went bankrupt in the 20s and stuff. The only thing you can raise here is cows and hay. If you had a bad year with hay, you couldn't feed your cows in the winter.
Right.
So almost everybody, all these were homesteads. At one time there was about 15 homesteads, and almost everybody lost them. So the university bought the 120 acres from the bank. And then 27 or 28, they came back out here in the summer and then looked the site over and decided where they were going to get the water from. And surveyed it, and then
This was Dr. Davis did this, or
Johnson and Davis.
they came out and
They
did
came
this?
out.
Okay.
And that's what I understand. I'm not sure if they personally came out, but anyhow, they came out here in 1929 and hired locals, and students also did a lot of work. I talked to some students that was here even in the 30s, and they said they had physically built the cabins. Now these cabins are an identical cabin to the ones that are on Douglas Lake that were built in 1880 or some kind of thing.
Okay.
And they patterned these cabins off of them. They're identical to the cabins.
Are those still there too? Do you know?
They're still there in operational. It said Douglas
Okay, this is the biological station now?
Biological Station.
Okay, my daughter was there. I didn't know
Right,
that.
so she stayed in the cabin. That's what they used the same blueprints that they just set up there. So
My daughter-in-law came here in '85. We found her picture in there.
yeah,
So I was here in '60, but that was before you were the.
yeah.
When did you start then? What year was that?
I started in '71.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is Professor Gene Glisson, director of the Camp Davis. From when to when?
Well, I became director in 1958 until 1963.
Okay.
And I took over from Don Cortright when he became somewhat ill and didn't feel quite up to it in 1958, and then was director from that point on.
So when did you come here the first time?
1953.
Okay. How did that happen?
Well, the Highway Department of Michigan made an arrangement with the Civil Engineering Department of the University of Michigan to train high school graduates directly out of high school who were qualified to work as surveyors for the State Highway Department. And the agreement was that they went to Camp Davis for 8 weeks, they would hire them as surveyors, or they wanted to, they could take the credit at the University of Michigan or any other school that would accept it, but the University of Michigan certainly would, as part of the civil engineering curriculum. We had 40 students for the years of 1953 through 57 each summer. Those type of young men.
When did you start teaching at UM though?
1951.
Okay. And so you came out here in 53. And did U of M students come out too at that time?
Oh yes.
Oh, okay.
They were coming here from the middle of the 40s, right after the war.
Okay.
Civil engineering students had been coming out here.
Yeah.
And earlier than that, of course, they'd been coming, but the war interrupted and things kind of fell apart during the war.
So then in 63, that was the last year. Then
that was the last year we had civil engineering out here.
Right. And then what? Why did that stop?
Well, there's a number of things. The curriculum changed a bit, and the faculty was not quite as interested in continuing to come out here each summer, especially the surveying group. And it just sort of seemed to be the thing to do at the time.
Right.
Some of us didn't think it was quite the thing to do, but that's what happened.
So, I mean, what one or two or three things during those 10 years do you remember the most? I mean,
well, one thing was we put the water supply in.
Yeah.
Which they're still using, I know. We went up there yesterday.
Oh.
And
still the same?
Same cypress tank and the plastic pipe and the whole 9 yards. We had run into some trouble before because the water had been taken from the creek, and the area that the creek flowed through was national forest, and they grazed cattle in there in the summer. And it got a little bit riled up sometimes because of the cattle moving through it, so we thought it better to enclose the spring, put a pipe in, and put an elevated tank sort of to maintain uniform pressure. That's one of the things, and we had lots of interesting things going on.
Did you ever have to kick a student out of camp?
No, we never did. We had some interesting people doing things that maybe weren't the smartest thing to do, but
something like Lloyd Carr runs into now and then.
Yeah, maybe. No, we didn't have anybody arrested or in any
deep
kind
trouble,
of deep trouble.
Just some normal prankster
go
stuff.
Go into town and maybe they shouldn't have, or they'd go up the mountain when they shouldn't have, or get.
Ever get anybody lost up the mountain?
Well, we got a guy lost up in Teton Park one time, one weekend. Had to go up and get the rangers to try to find him. He got out all on his own, but they kind of made a few of us a little uneasy. But we didn't have any real problems. Nobody. We really had very few injuries. We used to play softball out here all the time, and I think we had one fellow sprain an ankle maybe or something of that sort, but I don't recall anybody really breaking bones.
Well, except for Ted, right?
Yeah.
What happened to Ted?
I don't remember. You mentioned it. You remember better than
well,
I do.
Joe's the one that told me about it, and then I'd asked Ted, and he said that he yanked his teeth out on a clothesline.
Okay. Well, that could have happened.
Yeah.
Because they were strung between the buildings.
Not after that.
And no, people at night especially would get themselves choked or hit in the face or something. Right. Yeah, those are kind of dangerous. There was no question about that.
So did you have kids when you first came out here? Or did they happen all along?
No, they happened all along.
Is that a result of being out here, do you think?
Well, I guess I'd say probably.
Helped, huh?
1955 was our first child, and Ned, and he of course came out that next year.
Yeah.
All of them came from that point on.
Right. Well, it was a lot of good years, it sounded like.
Oh, yes. And our children, Ned thinks this is just the world's most wonderful place. He wants to live out here. Our oldest daughter learned to horseback ride out here, and she thinks this is a wonderful place. The two youngest were little young. Our youngest one was a year old when she was first out, less than a year old. She doesn't remember as much, but but they all think this is a great place.
Well, thanks for the information.
Oh, you're more welcome.
Okay. Hey, I like that hat. Ham hat. You wear that to the game?
Right? No, it's only my rain hat.
Okay, this is Marie Lisson, wife of Gene Lisson, right?
Yes.
And you came out here with him every year from 53.
I missed 1 year.
Oh, you did?
59. I had a new baby, and
oh, he didn't tell me that. Okay.
It was his bachelor summer.
All right.
No, I started in 53 with no children. For 2 years, I worked in the kitchen, and just had to do something with myself, and that paid my room and board. And then I started coming out with one child in 56, two children in 58, then 60 with 3 children, and in 61 I had a new baby, 10 weeks old. Lived in the caretaker's house because he left it for the summer, and we had 4 children out here, 61, 2, and 3.
Terrific. Any instances or things that you recall that really stand out?
Yeah, dragging my laundry bag down the hill, trying to get the laundry done in the caretaker's house.
Oh, there's that laundry in there.
Yeah, I used to use laundry there and hang out in the back of the yard. After lunch, the laundry would be dry. It was so beautiful to hang out and dry.
Not today. It wouldn't. I don't remember it ever raining out here when I was a student.
Yeah, well, you have good memories then.
Any students you remember in particular, or just?
No, I remember the assistants more than anything, and even they're fading from my mind. Tom Anderson worked in he was kind of the bookkeeper, Gene's assistant 1 year. He still lives in Michigan somewhere. And Don Highway was an instructor. I remember Ben Pedersen and Alan Barrows, they were young instructors, just engineering graduates. I worked with their wives, 53 and 54 also. So
you kept them under control.
It was, I just enjoyed being out here. It was kind of a nice break not to cook for 8 weeks.
Yeah, right. Oh, good. Well, thank you very much.
This is
What?
Hi.
Hello.
I broke my wrist.
Hello.
I broke my wrist by falling off the floor.
You see yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I broke my wrist by falling
What's your
off
name?
the floor. My name's Eddie.
Patty?
Eddie.
Eddie. Fast Eddie?
I don't know.
Slow Eddie? Slow without
I broke my wrist.
How did you do that?
Fell off a horse.
Oh, here?
I'm fast.
Where?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm fast.
What's your name?
Taylor.
Are you his brother?
No.
No?
I got a different brother that's playing foosball right now. He's right up there.
All right. You got a little white hair?
Yeah, he has blonde hair just like me.
Okay. What are they cooking up, beef? Ribs?
Did you do me a favor and hold this door?
Yep.
Hey, run this up. You want those down there, all of them? Hey, Chuck, they're hot. Chuck, they're hot.
See, that's Chuck. That's the caretaker. This is the classroom you taught in?
Cartwright taught here. When he had his classes in here, I had mine where we made our sandwiches in that area.
Okay. Well, you brought these tables out, right?
For the highway group.
Okay. For that high school highway group. Okay. We have the mountain climber and the mother of the mountain climber, right?
Yes. Both of them. We were just discussing that.
Oh, you were? Okay, well, I won't interfere with the discussion. Let me know when you want to document the final result of the discussion.
How about Sunday night?
Okay.
No, what not?
introduce you to everybody. So I know we got the Bunkermans. Where are you guys?
The O'Neills.
So we need you to tell us what year. We're gonna do you.
There were a couple of conceptions here too, and we're going to announce them.
Yeah, right. You shut your mouth.
I promise I won't say it.
You're first, right there. Okay, you gotta say when. I'm not saying it. Okay, the year of 72. So John and Jeanette Best, and I think this is their 25th wedding anniversary.
Hey, this is worth it.
All these years staying with John.
Happy anniversary!
Charlie, come on! Get up here! Get up here!
Get up here! We got the Bunkermans. And yeah, they're okay. In year 1947, engineering geologist. And how many? You guys been married how many years? 51 years. Yeah. All right. Okay. That's right. You guys are suddenly very popular.
She won't come up. That's okay, at least you're here.
Oh, we got something very illegal here. In 1960, we had a student taking camp and getting involved with her instructor. He was the dean of women.
And I was the only girl. 1960. We celebrated our 36th wedding anniversary yesterday.
36 years later, still looking good. Yeah! All right.
It's worth it.
You'll go to anything to get champagne.
I know.
In more recent years, we've got Kate and Kevin Mackey. And these guys not only met here, but they got married out here. They honeymooned in the Erdley cabin. And this little guy's middle name is Davis. And I think these guys are going to make 75 years married. At least. We've got 10. Woo, 10 years. That's great.
Arno.
Oh, 3, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
She's hard. Look at her.
We had another romance out here. This one was more legal. We had a TA and the nurse. He got a lot of sore muscles, and he was always going in to have it going over. So, can you guys come on up?
I gotta get the husband behind me.
We got some beer for you guys. How many years? No, not that. I mean married. Legal years. 5 years and counting.
What's it?
Here you go.
He's 10.
Okay.
I guess so.
Anybody else who met out here is being shy? All right. Okay, we got some birthdays too, I think. We've got Duncan Blount Sanford. He's going to be 15 pretty soon. Where's he? All right. Woohoo! Anybody else getting older today? I think at this point I'll turn it over today.
Next, we're going to have Steve Boland, who's the chairman of our Alumni Advisory Board, say something. He's burdened with someone on his shoulders over here.
You want to get down or stay there?
Stay there, yeah.
Steve always wanted to be taller.
You can do it all?
Oh, God. Hey, Dad!
Is this it? Okay. Probably a lot of you don't know what the Alumni Advisory Committee actually does, or who we are. And could you hold that storm? And there's actually been a few of us lurking about, watching and listening. But the Alumni Advisory Committee meets once a year in Ann Arbor in the fall, and we provide a vehicle for communication from the alumni to the department. We provide an opportunity for the department to discuss its long-term plans with us and to have them at least listen to what we have to say about what we think of those plans. Come and enjoy some memories and to refresh our friendships and to do some hiking. So, Becky, thank you very much. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Chuck Wooden and his staff for all of the work that they have to do for the weekly fundraiser. So I hope you all are enjoying yourselves, and I will turn the mic over to the chairman. Can I have my beer back, buddy? Thank you. This is thirsty work for some people like me. I want to continue with the thank yous. There have been a number of people who've worked awfully hard to bring this together. A couple have already been mentioned, but I want to thank Karen and Skip, who really put their hearts into this without them. And Chuck, of course, but also Norma Crowley. And I have a little something for each of them here if they can come up. Come on, Norma.
She was the genius behind everything.
Evil genius.
The evil genius.
Wait. Donna? Oh, you're taking pictures. You know, I can't sort these out. Find one with an N. Find one with an N. The rock. N is for Norma.
Already got one of those. Oh, wow.
In addition to these little tokens that I have for these 5 people that have made this whole thing really possible for us, from the board suggesting to the department it would be a great idea. This is, I don't know how many of you know, this is the 10th anniversary of a reunion held out here in 1989. How many of you were here in 1989? 1989 was our department's 150th birthday party. And that reunion was held with this, in association with that. People has convinced the university to give Chuck the largest bonus any employee has ever received. And he can tell you what that is if he wants to, but it'll be in his October paycheck. If it's not, don't call me. And now there's a number of you who are here with the engineering groups, and now Glenn Gleason wants to say something. Gene. Sorry, Gene. I get too many yells.
That's hard for an engineer to figure out, Gene.
Oh, I'm not going to climb on the chair. We appreciate very much the inclusion of the engineers here, we feel kind of like we have something to remember here as well. We've got people here, I think the earliest class was 1947. Is that not correct? Let me know. 42? I mean, I'm talking engineers now. Okay. And we've got a lot of young people that thought this was the best place to grow up and find the place they wanted to come and visit. I know our son thinks this is heaven, and he's brought his children, and they're going to climb the Teton tomorrow. We do thank you very much for including us. We crashed your '89 celebration as well. I'd like to have all the engineers hold up their hands and their families so you can see how many we have. The guy that's taking the pictures over here, Bill Richardson, has got a website on the internet, and he's going to tell you what to do to get the call numbers and whatever. It's really good. He's got all these pictures he's been taking over the years on there, and you'll find it very entertaining.
So much for stuff.
Tell me where that is. Oh, I see it.
So, I got the idea of creating a website for you. I was surprised there wasn't one.
I don't see it.
And so I started collecting some of my slides, some of Karen O'Neill's photos, her album, and a few other people supplied me with their photographs. So I've got this on a website, primarily right now for engineers.
I'll just shoot it.
I would be happy to cooperate with anyone who is computer illiterate. They're computer illiterate geologists. Well, you got to be next to bring it back. But if you are interested in this and contributing to this website, email me. And then if you email me, I know then you have a computer and rather than giving you this long website address, just email me. That's real easy to remember. My name is Bill Richardson, but the name is Rich Bill. Nothing to do with monetary. Right, nothing. But richbill@umich.edu. And if you do send me any anecdotes, stories, electronic photographs, I'll be glad to put them on the site and help the geologists with their site. The Alumni Association, Maine Alumni Association, has just started a new web prototype site. Any group in the university that is associated with the Alumni Association can start a website, have it as large or as much as they want, put down a calendar of events, photograph albums, and so we should start that with the geologists also. This thing is going really. Thank you very much. My great speech.
As long as the water runs out the end, you don't have to worry. Again, thank you very much for your hospitality. Chuck has done a hell of a job, and all of his people, and we really appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.
Now we can come to the more interesting time of the evening, I think. I feel as department chair, I work hard for Camp Davis, but I don't do any of it here. And there are a lot of people who do work very hard for Camp Davis and do it here. And some of them have some stories they want to tell you about Chuck, and I think we should start with Skip.
Keep it clean.
Well, today she's taking a picture of me with the mountains in the background. She's like this.
Well, I've known Chuck for a long time. I've been out here for about 26 years, almost as long as Chuck. And I can tell you one thing, this place would not be what it is without this man, Chuck Wooden, who has put his heart and soul into keeping this camp a smooth running operation, and every summer making everything operate to maximum capacity. And that includes everything from keeping the vehicles running, keeping them working, keeping the kitchen uptight and in shape, keeping all of our supplies that we need out here ready to roll. And his favorite job is keeping the plumbing going. And you know, since the engineers moved out, we haven't had nearly the problems with the plumbing, but we occasionally have some excess toilet paper. And so every once in a while, just to keep the plumbing working right, Chuck has to ration the toilet paper. And we keep that ration pretty tight. And I'm always behind it because I know if we have a problem, I'll be right down in there with him, getting it out. I don't want that to happen at all. But we've had some fun times out here. Chuck's an amazing person. He is skilled at everything. I don't think there's anything he can't do. And if he can't do it, he'll do it anyway. So he is really terrific. And I'm just going to tell you, there are lots of stories, some of which I can't tell, like around the fire. And there's a reason that we no longer have the students have fires here. And Chuck will have to tell you about that. It actually involves somebody that spoke to you earlier tonight, but that's another story. So loud limericks, things like that. Anyway, I'm going to tell you one story and I'll go away. Chuck has my admiration for the way he handled a small problem we had at camp one summer. We had a student in 116 that came out here, and he wanted to be kind of a mountain man, right? He's from the Ann Arbor or back east somewhere, and he had this bowie knife that went down from here, and he wore it all the time. And he came to be known as the Blade. Blade was a nice guy, but he kind of caught a lot of grief from a lot of the students because he had this bowie knife on all the time. And so one evening, I think it was C1, what was it? No, C3. C3. It was C3. Chuck knows. He remembers. The other students thought they'd play a joke on the Blade, and they locked him in his cabin. I don't know if any of you all ever did that. But they put the pegs in, and so the Blade was in his cabin, and he's banging on the cabin and making all this racket and everything. And so Chuck said, "What's going on?" And so they locked the Blade in the cabin. And everybody else was afraid to go because he was screaming, "I'm going to kill you guys! I got the Blade out!" And the next thing we know, he's slicing through the tin with his big blade, and everybody else ran away. Chuck had to go down and open the door. To this day, I don't know how he disarmed the Blade. He's legendary for having done so.
See that movie? See it.
Open mic.
Open mic.
Oh, I did see that. That was actually one movie I did.
I had the distinct pleasure of working as Chuck's assistant in 1985, 1987. 87, I met my lovely wife, Kate, who you met earlier. As Chuck's assistant, I get the luxury, everything that you see runs smoothly and flawlessly because of Chuck, is because of Chuck. And I get to walk behind him, and literally the man's got a 40-inch inseam. I got a 32-inch inseam, he's walking Mach 2, and I'm doing everything I can to stay behind him. And he's saying, "Fix this, fix that, light bulb here, toilet here." Chuck is the guy that makes, I think, and I'll get a little misty here, but he makes that magic that is Camp Davis happen. a lot of the magic is the friendship, the camaraderie that's built. But it doesn't exist without, like Skip said, that plumbing system.
That's right.
God forbid somebody can't bark a tree at 7 in the morning. God forbid their light doesn't work. It's these little things that I came to love about Chuck. And he will never admit it, but he loves camp more than me, and that's hard to do. He loves it so much he cannot live it. He's got a $250,000 mansion and 100 acres of cattle ranch. I mean, it's mystical proportions of what he's retiring to down in the Hoback. But I tell you what, he'll never leave here, and he loves it as much as I do. And I'm trying to be funny, but it's a little hard. I'll tell you what, it ain't 30 years that Chuck's been there. I've been there, this is my 15th barbecue, turning meat with Chuck. It seems like I was 18 yesterday. And I'm glad you all could come. And he's the most amazing man I ever met in my life. Anybody else?
Last chance.
Last chance.
Oh, Steve.
Can you do a little physical therapy yourself?
Yeah, you just do
it.
I doubt if I need this. I was here in 1973.
You need it.
All right, well.
Turn it upside down.
Oh, okay. Does that work better? No one has ever told me I was quiet before. I think Chuck got here maybe a year before the 1973 before, so he had things under control. We had quite a group here, just quite an outstanding group of students that were here that year, and we had a great time, but it weren't easy. Because Chuck had things under control, and here came hippies, you know? And I remember his favorite student, Becky Lang, I believe. She went down to the trash heap and brought back things that Chuck didn't even know were there and built sculptures outside of her cabin. These are stories Chuck probably has forgotten already. But out of that group came a number of great scientists that went off and did a number of things around the country. We came back for our 10th anniversary, and some of you were here for that. We'll talk about it. As the peak of the oil industry, we thought we'd have helicopters taking us up to Cream Puff and bringing us back to our 20th. Well, we didn't know geology goes up and down. It was down at number 20. Last year, we were able to come out here for our 25th anniversary, and a number of us showed up. And camp has been very special. Like we've heard before, you really develop some bonds out here. I've heard people look at their cabins and go, especially people who weren't here, going, "You live in these things?" You know? Not only do you live in these things, but you know, after a while they become really comfortable, and you talk with other people, and they're saying, "We stayed in tents, and you feel really lucky. You had hot showers when you came back, and everything else." But camp for us, I think for most people here, was hardships. It was learning a lot. It was fellowship. University of Michigan's been great for a lot of people, and I think camp has been an important part for a lot of people here. And Chuck certainly helped us out. And I don't even want to think about how many times he's seen groups go through here which had varying degrees of likeness and dislikeness. And every time I see him, it said, "How was camp this year, Chuck?" He goes, "It was okay." Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else feel called on? Ah. Here comes Stu.
Yes, yes.
Too much fear.
Oh boy.
It's not that easy.
gas station, there was a brand new pickup.
Turn the volume up.
Brand new pickup truck.
Okay. Okay. As good as we can do with him. He's an old man, so let's give him some.
Blow it out. Okay, anyway, here's the way it worked. He's sitting down there with this brand new shiny Ford pickup, and this good-looking gal gets out with her hair all crumpled up, and this nice little boy, what was his name?
Chucky.
Chuckles, yes, Chuck. Gets out and he's all dressed up, and I says, "What's a dummy from Detroit doing out here?" He says, "This dummy's looking for a cheaper place than Jackson." And they just put a bunch of A-frames over there. And I said, "Well, this guy's kind of a grouch. His name is Laurel. And Sydney, his wife, is a good one. And you go up and tell her you're a friend of mine." And they got to stay there for how long? 2 weeks? 2 weeks. And that's how we got them.
Before we see if Chuck wants to respond to all this, I want to thank Kelly and the kitchen crew who have been for all you. And quite soon there's going to be cake and ice cream, I think, on the table over there. As soon as we're done. And someone said they're going to bring out leftover wine, and I don't know if there's any or not.
Look, I get your tonsils.
Well, I got to tell everybody here, I'm really just overwhelmed with all this, all the stuff everybody's been saying about me. None of it's true. Stu McDonald is the reason I am here, invited me down to camp. My wife, I was a lover of Michigan and I always wanted to live in the UP. That was my big idea, sometime live in the UP. She said, "If I ever get you out west, you'll never want to come back." I was in the town of Jackson one day, and I had decided then. I said, "Would you live out here?" And she said, "Yeah." So I happened to run into Stu at the gas station down here, like he said, and invited me down to camp to visit. I came down to camp, showed me around. They were building the brand new blue 116 classroom at the time. And it mentioned that the caretaker gentleman that was here before was thinking about retiring, and I decided, well, I'm going to get that job. It took about 2 or 3 years, and I think they finally gave me that job because at the time I was working in Ann Arbor, and I just pestered them so much at the department. I think they gave it to me just to get them off my back. I love this camp. This camp is part of me. I love this valley.
Can we run?
There's not a morning I don't walk out and look at this mountain here, and I can see something different every morning in this mountain. I raised 2 boys here, and then you raised a couple of kids here in Jackson at the time. They both turned out to be just fine kids, and I think Jackson had a big part of it. Although I had one of them worked as a KP for a few years. And the incident with the cutting out of the cabin is not completely true fact. Actually, the guy cut himself out of the cabin because he had built a big fire in the cabin. And they plugged the chimney. The man was fighting for his life. He was happy to see me. But this dinner went on here tonight. I had a mess crew. This year is about the best I've had. The best cook I've ever had. The head cook, Kelly, and his wife. Good. And sounds like a just matter of putting on a deal, but when you're feeding 200 people in a couple of shifts, they spent long hours planning this deal, and they pulled it off, I think, without a hitch, without the rain. I was thinking about having the barbecue at 6:30. If I'd had known better, it would have been we could have all ate outside. But I love this camp. It's just part of me, and there's nothing much more than I can say. And I just appreciate all the good stories. This nice fire pit out here was built by Mr. Steve Henry last year when he came out here for a reunion. Instead of floating down the rivers and everything, he sat out here for 2 or 3 days and built this fire pit.
That's nice.
And Mr. Bolin made his speech, and this fire pit is just used now just for during camp for bonfires and stuff, and the other was in the camp. And the reason for that is they used to have bonfires there. My house is right there. Mr. Bowen doesn't need a PA system. And before the night is over, you'll hear a roar. And when I looked out the window one night to find out what was waking me up, he's halfway up this flagpole. So that's why the student fire pit is now at the other end. But I appreciate everything, folks, and I hope you had a good time. Thank you.
I guess.
You're going to have to learn how to use this camera there, I guess. I've never given you a lesson.
You can put that Let's see Bill get that on the internet.
Oh.
Yeah, you can. You can go. You can take a picture of the cake.
Sorry.
Actually, didn't they go out?